Hello students, in today's session we will be discussing woes, hindrance or problems of small business enterprises. Now in our previous session we have seen how small businesses are very much important to develop the economy or to bring regional development in the country. Now today we will discuss about some of the problems that small business enterprises faces. The establishment and operation of small business enterprises is not free from problems. These industries are under the pressure of over-regulation. These industries have to face the following problems. Means there are very much regulations, rules to start a small business enterprise. Now let us see what are those. The first problem that they face is problem of license. The procedure for obtaining license from the Industries Department of the state is cumbersome. Means in order to start a small business they have to procure their license, and to get that license from Industries Department of the state they have to undergo lots of rules and regulation. They have to follow every rules to get that license. Sometimes the bureaucracy is also unhelpful. A lot of time and money is wasted in getting license. Means they need a lot of time. Means they have to go over and over to that office to comply with all the regular rules. Plus sometimes the officers in charge they used to ask for bribery as well. The next is problem of finance. The initial investment comes from own sources and loans borrowed from non-banking and non-government sources at very high rate of interest. As we know that small business owners they start their business from their own sources, or if they don't have their own fund they used to borrow from banking, non-banking, that is money lenders or their friends or family members or non-government sources, and they usually charge a very high rate of interest. Sometimes it becomes impossible for the small business owners to repay back that rate of interest. Banks and government sources are reluctant. Means they don't feel like investing in small business because they are not sure whether that small business will lead profit or not. Then next is the problem of project report. As we all know, if we want to take loan from anywhere, we have to show the project report of the small business. Since the small business owners or the prospective small business owners they don't have that kind of technical skill, or they are not specialized in preparing project reports so that the people they would like to invest in their venture. Okay, so if you're not skilled at anything, or if you in a particular thing, or if you don't have any specialized knowledge about a particular thing, then you are not able to succeed in that for the first time. So it is quite little bit problematic for the business owner to get loans based on their project report prepared by them. Then the next is problem of appropriate location site. Usually people like to start their own business from a place where they have all the facilities, like good production facilities, like availability of raw materials, proper communication facilities is available there, proper transportation facilities are available. But we all know that a place with all these kind of facilities are very costly. So in order to start a small business the business owner they have to select a proper location with all those facilities, as well as that location should be cheap according to their budget. So it is quite impossible or difficult to find such kind of location. Then next is problem of modern technology. Means modern technology or the latest technology that gets launched in the market is very high costly or very expensive at starting, but day after day as the technology gets older it becomes cheaper. So modern technology, if the small business owner wants to purchase it, they will need a huge amount of money, and we all know that small businesses they start with small finance. The next is problem of marketing. Items manufactured by small units are not generally standardized. Means they cannot compete with the standard of international companies' product. So in that case they lack in the field of marketing. Now there are some financial assistance given to the rural, backward and hilly areas people. Now let us see what are those. We know that about 77% of our population resides in the villages, where main source of livelihood is nothing but agriculture. In case of India, agriculture is the backbone of our economy, means around 70% of the population of the country is engaged in agriculture. That is why 70% people earn their living by agriculture. In addition to agriculture, small business units are also established. Due to financial hardships, these institutions and farmers cannot grow, because since they don't have financial support, they don't feel like, or they can't expand their business. We have got plenty of resources in rural India. We cannot say that there is no resources in rural India. There is, but the thing is, we don't have other resources to exploit or utilize those resources. So these resources are hidden, untapped and unutilized. It proves true that India is a rich country inhabited by poor, as we all know that most of the rural people, they are poor. Therefore, it is necessary that requisite financial assistance should be provided to farmers and village people so that their economic growth could take place. Means, until they don't have financial help, they will not be able to bring development in their economy. Then, equality of income, wealth and opportunity should be made available to everyone, so that equality of life should improve. In India, we have two categories of people. One category, those who have everything, like they have all the resources, they are earning huge amount of money, and there are some other second category people which they don't have anything. They are poor, they don't have sufficient resources, they are very poor in nature. Okay, it is necessary that backward and hilly areas should be provided financial assistance to grow rapidly and come at par with urban areas. So, in order to bring equal development in urban as well as rural areas, it is very much important that financial assistance should be given to the backward and hilly areas or rural areas. Thus, various financial institutions and organizations were established by the Indian government to provide financial assistance to rural, backward and hilly areas for the improvement of their quality of seeds, cattle, pumping set, tube wells, tractors, threshers, harvesters, fertilizers, etc. So, in order to bring equal development in rural areas, government has provided financial assistance in various ways to help them in developing their farming techniques. For the fulfillment of these objectives and improving the quality of life of the people, funds can be collected from the following sources. Now let us see what are different sources from which rural people can get funds from. The first one is money lenders. Money lenders are no one but the villagers or the zamindars who are very rich and they have the business of lending money to the people. The professional money lenders and the agriculturist money lenders who carried on money lending as a side business have been the most important and popular source of rural credit in the past. Means earlier in India, money lenders were very famous. They used to, every villagers, they used to take money from money lenders. They were popular in rural areas because of their easier procedure. Means when we go to bank or any financial institution to take loan, we have to fulfill lots of document. Okay, we have to undergo lots of paperwork. But when we go to any money lenders, they will not undergo those paperwork. They will simply lend you money and they will charge interest. And their willingness to lend for unproductive purpose. These money lenders charged a very high rate of interest and cheated the illiterate and innocent farmers. Means these money lenders, they used to charge a high rate of interest and sometimes willingly they used to snatch the properties of innocent farmers. Apart from money lenders, their relatives, then landlords, traders and commission agents are some of the other non-institutional source of agricultural finance in India. The next source of finance is government. Government also, they grant loan, but they grant loan in the case of emergencies like flood, drought or other natural calamities. These loans are known as TACCAV or TACAV loans and are granted for short term or medium term. Remember, these funds or loans granted by government in case of emergencies are not for long term but for short or medium term. But due to red tapeism, means they have to wait for a long period of time in the administrative system, these loans are not that much popular. Means in order to reach those loans to the victims, it takes a lot of time. That is why this kind of loans are not that much famous. Then the third is commercial banks. Before nationalization of 14 commercial banks in July 1969, the share of commercial banks in providing rural credit was almost negligible, even less than 1% of the rural credit. After nationalization, these banks have opened a large number of branches in rural areas. Now, in the year 1969, in the month of July, 14 major banks were nationalized. And before that, these banks, they did not like to loan and to give credit loans to the farmers. Less than 1% of the rural credit was given by these banks. But after nationalization, what they did is that there was rapid increase in the branches of these banks in rural areas, and with that, the rural people started taking credit loans from these commercial banks. Then the next one is RRBs or regional rural banks. As a supplement to commercial banks, means these RRBs used to work side by side with commercial banks. They were also started to help rural people in taking loans. These are like commercial banks. They receive deposits from their customers and they lend it to the needy people or the borrowers. Their banking service are meant for small marginal farmers and artisans, etc. in the rural areas. So their main basic target for providing loans were small marginal farmers and artisans who are residing in the rural areas. Now these are some of the information given, but these are not that much important. The main important thing you have to by heart is that RRBs, they work side by side with commercial banks and they receive deposit from customers and they grant loan to small marginal farmers and artisans in rural areas. Then next we have agricultural cooperative credit societies. The agricultural credit cooperatives are the most important source of credit to the agriculturists. Now agriculturists are no one but farmers, not artisans but only the farmers. These agricultural cooperative credit societies, they provide loan only to the agriculturist. The primary agricultural credit society provide short and medium term loans. Okay. Then next we have land development banks. These banks provide long-term loans to farmers by mortgaging their land. Means they used to mortgage the land of borrowers and then they will give loans. Loans are granted for a period ranging between 15 to 20 years. That means it is a long-term loan. There are two types of land mortgage bank. There are primary land development banks and central land development banks. Now the next one is Reserve Bank and rural credit. The RBI has played a vital role in agricultural finance. It had set up special agricultural credit department in its organization. Now RBI, they took initiative and started agricultural credit department. RBI provided short-term loan to state cooperative banks at concessional rates of interest for financing seasonal agricultural operations. Now RBI, they don't directly give loans to the farmers, but they indirectly help state cooperative banks in providing loans to the agriculturist. It also provided medium-term loans to state cooperative banks for conversion of short-term advances to medium-term loans in scarcity-affected areas. Means in some areas, if the state cooperative banks are finding it difficulty to run their bank, they can take loan from the Reserve Bank. It also provided long-term finance for agriculture by subscribing to the rural debentures of central land development banks. Means sometimes central land development banks, they used to issue debentures and Reserve Bank, they used to purchase those debentures to help this bank. Then now we have land mortgage banks. Mortgage banks have been set up to provide long-term credit to farmers. To significant extent, these have replaced the money lenders. by the coming of land mortgage banks, moneylenders have been replaced by them, who were the main source of finance of meeting the long-term requirements of farmers. Now, land development banks, they provide loan for long-term credit needs of the farmer by providing long-term loans at reasonable rates of interest. The recovery of loan is in installments. EMI system is there. Then next, they were established in pre-independent era India, means before getting freedom from the British government. There were land development banks, but they have made rapid progress only after the country became free. There was land development bank before, but main actual progress came after India became independent. Still, the progress is limited only to a few states such as Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra and Gujarat, and the other states, they hardly have any land development banks. Then next we have cooperative banks. Cooperative banks are organized on the principle of cooperation. The banks provide short-term finance to farmers, small-scale industrial units. They also encourage the habit of thrift among their members. Now, through these cooperative banks, they develop the habit of saving among the members of cooperative. Cooperative banks collect their capital by selling shares to their members and by accepting deposits from them. Means they cannot take deposit from general public, only from their member. They also receive loans and grants from the government and central cooperative banks. Members of a cooperative bank can borrow funds from the bank on the basis of their production programs or anticipated crops. By showing this production and their anticipated crops, farmer can or the member of cooperative bank can take loan from these banks. Generally, loans by a cooperative bank are given for productive purposes only and against some security, so they have to keep some security. Then next, at the last, we have NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. When the role of bank credit was widened from agriculture development to rural development. Earlier we used to focus only on agriculture development, but later it was changed to the development of the rural altogether. The need was felt for an organization which was more broad-based than Agriculture Refinance Development Corporation. Now let us see what is NABARD and what are its objects. Now NABARD was established under the Act of Parliament and it started functioning from 12th June 1982. Now objective of NABARD is to provide policy, help in planning and help in operational aspects in the flow of credit for the promotion. So NABARD basically they used to focus on agriculture, small scale industries, cottage and village industries, handicrafts, other rural crafts and allied economic activities in rural areas. Now the bank sanctioned financial assistance of 12,784 crores till June 1988, out of which 9,435 crores were actually disbursed. Now this is not that much important, but you have to understand when was NABARD started functioning and what are the objectives of NABARD. Now the next topic we have measures for institutional financial assistance for small business. Under that you will see there are 16 or 17 points regarding how government has taken various measures to help small scale industries. Now you can give a thorough reading. You have to understand you have to by heart the name, their full forms and their functions or objectives. Okay, now this is a list of 16 measures taken up by the government. So go through, give it a thorough reading, and if you have any difficulty or if you have any doubt, then you can consult me. Then moving on to the last topic of this chapter is incentives. In order to achieve industrial development in the backward, tribal, and hilly areas, the government offers certain incentives to the individuals to encourage establishment of industries in these neglected areas. Some common incentives offered are discussed below. Means in order to promote small-scale business in the remote areas, hilly areas, government has provided lots of facilities or incentives. Now let us see what are those incentives. The first one is land. As we all know, to start a business we need land. The state government offers developed plots, means they already have all the facilities to start a business on easy terms for small scale industry. Suppose if you want to start your own small scale industry, then you can take developed plots from the state government. Then next is power. Power is nothing but electricity. Power to these industries are supplied at concessional rate of 50%. Suppose if your monthly bill of your resident is 1000 per month, then for starting a small scale industry or business, you can take concession or incentive from the government, and they will give you discount of 50% on your electricity bill. But certain states, they exempt certain power charges in the initial years. Means for starting few years they will not charge you electricity bill at all. Okay. Then next is water. Water is supplied on no profit no loss basis or at 50% concession. Means they will not charge more from you for water, or they can give you 50% discount on water supply as well, or exemption from water charges for 5 years. Then sales tax. Usually we don't have sales tax now. It has been converted into GST, sales tax, and octroi. Okay, so you can skip these 2 points, but still you can read these points to understand. Then the main important thing to start an enterprise is raw material. Units located in backward areas get preferential treatment in the matter of allotment of source raw materials like cement, iron, and steel, etc. Most of the companies that manufacture cement, iron, and steel are government owned, or they are government companies. So most they are given preferential treatment, means they will provide you cement, iron, and steel and other raw materials at a very concessional rate. Okay. The next is finance. Subsidy of 10 to 15% is given for building capital assets. Means if you are planning to build fixed assets in your business, then you can get 10 to 15% of subsidy from the government. Loans are also offered as concessional rates. Means they will charge less rate of interest if you take loans for building your capital assets. The next is industrial estate. Some states encourage setting up of industrial estates in backward areas. Means those states which are very backward, the state government, they encourage to start industrial estates in those backward areas. And the last incentive is tax holiday. Exemption from paying tax for 5 to 10 years is given to industries established in backward, hilly, and tribal areas. So if you are planning to start a business in backward, hilly, or tribal areas, then you can start your business, but for initially 5 to 10 years you don't have to pay any tax. You will be exempted from tax pay. So this was chapter 8, small business. I hope you understood, and give this 16 points a thorough reading and see whether you are able to understand. But it is not that much important that you have to by heart each and every sentence, but just understand the meaning, what were the purpose for establishing or starting those schemes. So for this session we will wind up here. Thank you.